Okay, now we are moving to a final presentation. And I would like to introduce František Palčák, who is going to talk about benefits of TRIZ approach to enable proper holistic education. And that's going to be our final presentation of the conference. František, hopefully you're here.
Nice. I try to switch on my presentation. Do you see?
No, not yet.
No. So
You click on share button.
Share screen. Yes.
Share screen. Yes. Yeah, something is starting up.
No. And this is my presentation.
Ah, it's good. If you just switch to presentation mode, everything will be. Yeah. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my presentation is dedicated to education because today situation is that education is mostly oriented to teaching, but I try to pinpoint that we are facing very complex problems for future. So I recommend to add to this teaching also inventing and upbringing. So first I would like to tell some words about my activities. As you can see, I was a lecturer since 1970. It is a lot of years. And in the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava. And I try to involve computer-aided engineering tools. So our university was the first in Middle Europe to adapt software add-ons, which is today mostly used in automotive industry. And as you can see, I was head of Hotras Training Center in 1996. Then I, as you can see, 2011, I became member of Scientific Council of the Technical University in Liberec, where I collaborate a lot of also Pavel Yerman and other guys with implementing TRIZ into education. And in 2012, I was graduated with TRIZ certificate with Bohuslav Bushov in TRIZ in Brno. And since 2040, I'm president of Civic Association of TRIZ SK Bratislava. We are active and my PhD students are very good involved in a lot of companies like BMW, Porsche, and other. So if you would like to apply very complex trees for students, so I see one important way not to simplify trees, but simplify interaction of trees. So I suggest to adopt some so-called framework perfecting, which will be introduced later. So as you can see, I used 3 colors and all items they are connected to each other. So if you want to see the holistic education, so we have inputs, it is red, then we have meaning, blue, teaching, and output, inventing. So if we told about mission of holistic education, so of course we have a goal for competencies of professions of tomorrow, defined by World Economic Forum. So I recommend as input humanity, and meaning expertise, and output ingenuity. So as you can see, humanity is helping us searching for correct incentives, expertise, choosing correct rules, and ingenuity, correct practice. So maybe you know very famous people, as it is mentioned here, Comenius in pedagogy, Maupertuis in perfecting maturity of meaning, and Altschuler in laws of invention. So if you want to overcome conflicting requirements, contradiction, achieve considerably a lot of benefit with little effort. So I propose use the framework of the cycle of mutual perfecting conditions, creators and creations. So as you can see, also we have 3 colors. And as you can see, I use these holistic competencies to connect some mission of leader as challenger, scientist, inventor, manufacturer, educator, and negotiator, which can be representing goal of our holistic education. So, principle of this transfer of input to output is based on a very simple formula, degree of ideality. So I denote inputs as conditions, resources, then is red, it was red, then is blue, meaning of valuable transfer, and output, green output is the dedicated creations, the function. So in this picture, you see opposite trends, incremented complexity, entropia in the right side of this axis, and as usually opposite trend, increasing order, extropia. And our goal of holistic education is output or transfer, breakthrough, lot for little. I mean that Altschuler was the first in the history of mankind who revealed the laws of inventing. And I try to describe the principle of perfecting as input conditions, and then perfecting creators a meaning of transfer, and principle of perfecting creations as output of transfer. So, and from this point of view, we can see incentives and as an input, overcoming a meaning, and application as output of transfer. And you can see 3 tools connected with these competencies. Similarly, very complex ARIS with a lot of steps, you can also see from this point of view of analysis, input, proposal, meaning, and evaluation at output of transfer. So this is the way how to simplify introduction of very complex tool without simplification. This is my goal. So TRIZ approach for holistic education, as was mentioned, has a goal of a high degree of consideration for humanity and deep local expertise, knowledge, and broad overview openness skills. So if we try to demonstrate the application of framework of perfecting, so I try to introduce this framework for Z generation of Zoomers because they required one view image, what is necessary. It is one incentive as we introduce framework of perfecting, and one reason why is necessary to use one rule. This is this formula, and one instruction how is necessary to use one procedure. So this table enable us to see in the left column the conditions as input of transfer, in middle as meaning, creators, so properties of condition, properties of creators, and properties of creations. And you can recognize, for example, it is complex creation, complex creator, and complex conditions. So then we can talk about input of transfer, meaning of transfer, and output of transfer from point of view some competencies. So as I told about application, so this methodology of perfecting framework of perfecting was successfully applied numerous lectures, theses, and projects for more than 20 years in Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. You can find details in references in the paper and websites. So if I told about collaboration with Faculty of Mechanical Engineering from Technical University of Liberec in Czech Republic, I recommend to include this framework into education, and it was adapted in the strategy. So now I try to bring some examples in mechanical engineering. So a common principle and demonstrations of application in static, kinematics, and dynamics. It requires to examine a knowledge and apply a sense of properties, structures and coordinates of position of system, generalized force effects, and pairs of collinear vectors. I explained in applications. So the first application framework in statics is one example which is dedicated to cutting thread by the equilibrium force screw, static screw. And my goal was achieve considerably a lot of benefits with little effort. In one example, is possible to, for educator, is possible to explain all properties of force systems. So this is fulfill this equation, input to output. So we use what to use as an input, why. So we can apply static screw. This allows friendly, efficient, successful cutting external thread, and how to use the force system of two equal large forces screw lines. We press the rotating die vertically, on the board without trying to bend it, and in the same time generate the necessary torque to cut the thread. So next example is dedicated to application in kinematics. As you can see, we have also a pair of collinear vectors, and in this case is velocity of angular velocity, and angular velocity of this wheel carrier or 5-link car wheel carrier. So in this case, we also have 3 aspects what to use. So one suitable example to explain properties of positioning the body in the car wheel carrier in space. And also second is the meaning. So this method allows friendly, efficient, and successful determination of this kinematic screw axis and how to use so mutual position of this instantaneous wheel axis and screw axis. They allows to determine characteristics of car wheel suspension for proper transfer forces during drive, suspension, braking, and steering regimes. And last one is example of application of framework perfecting dynamics for determination position of drone in the space by a dynamic screw. The pair of collinear vectors, as you can see, it is linear momentum HA and angular momentum KA. So I repeat, it was input suitable example to explain the property of dynamic spatial positioning body of drone, and then meaning, because we have chosen method neutral equations allow this determination of extensive position of dynamic screw axis, and as we mentioned, this dynamic screw axis, it is dedicated for positioning of this drone in the space. So my conclusions are dedicated to applying law of perfecting on the humanity, because as you can see, the humanity was gradually going through changes in history. The first etap was dedicated to industrial revolution, then the information revolution, and we are facing to collaboration revolution. So as you can see, this sign or logo of framework, according to art, it is dedicated to principle, science, knowledge, and craft skills. Is color? It is a flower with represents manifestation of humility. So, thanking for your attention. I would like to answer your questions.
All right, František, thank you very much. Let's have a look if there are any questions. Well, you got a really highly abstract presentation, and very trying to go to very high level, I mean philosophical level of education.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone, any questions? Oh, we still have the same number of participants, but
maybe I forgot to mention that this idea last year I was introduced to my friend in Samsung, and as you can remember, Valery Prushinsky, his TRIZ master, was approving this this method, and I was very happy because he is, from my point of view, very experienced man and full of humility.
Yeah. I know him very well, definitely. I think many people who are here know him. He's running an interesting channel on YouTube with inventions.
Yeah. It was my recommendation.
Yeah. Very nice. All right, there is a question from Sylvia Popova. What do you imagine to be the most difficult challenges for society during the phase of the collaboration revolution? Thank you for your presentation.
Yes, we mostly talked about influence of this era of infection, because a lot of people must be rest in a home office, and also children were starving, lack of contacts. So a lot of people now resembles that it is not question of only free time to be in contact, because, as you know, we must be in contact due to exchanging of ideas, exchange of some habits. So the collaboration, it is not only in process of work, but this upliftment, it allows to bring better work for your personally, and also for company. It is a lot of examples that, for example, company Google, when was try to enhance some results, so then give employment free time for mutual contact, for relationship. And this is also necessary to bring in our lives. So this is my idea. Of course, we told about some three aspects of education. So as I mentioned, the art is also necessary, because it is very close connected with humanity, and our creations should be human with influence of environment to be friendly. Yes, so maybe this is reason.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any more questions? Well, I see no more questions. We have to think about it. It's very general. Okay, so František, thank you very much for your presentation. And now I